Round 1, fight. What's up, Fear Fam? No, Fearless Shinobi. Today we have another online set of fights in Naruto Storm 4. And in today's video, we'll be talking about why old fights are important. There's a lot of reasons for it, and I wanted to talk about it since I never really heard anybody talk about it before. This is pretty cool here. We did a tilt with Akamaru that saved us on guard pressure. That's pretty neat. I never saw that before. So first of all, I want to say one big reason, that watching old fights is important is we get to see how much we've improved, how much we've progressed, and how much we've come along in terms of growth. Or we've seen how rusty we've become. Usually it's not the case where we digress and we don't do as well. Usually it's the case that we're getting better, right? Even if you've taken a long break from the game, it's good to come back and do a little bit of practicing, maybe play for a couple days, and then you should be back in tip-top shape. Unless you've taken a very long break. In that case, it might take you weeks or months to get better. But it is pretty good to see how far you've come along. Awesome combo cancel here. Kiba doing work. I love it. We're going to be using these lower tier PTS, or pre-time skip kid characters from Naruto Part 1 against... Ooh, that's too bad. If it was just a normal ultimate, it probably would have worked. It's hard to say what the connection was like here. These are very old games. I don't even really recognize myself that much. And they're going to be very tough. I may actually lose these games, or at least one of these games. And if I do win, it probably won't be by much. So let's see what happens. There'll be two fights with two different players. And it's going to be tough. My guard broke there. Another thing is I often hear people say, oh, those are old fights, they're no good. Or, oh, those are old fights, they don't matter because, you beat me. Yeah, you beat me before, but you beat me so long ago, that was months ago or a year ago, it doesn't matter. Well, I get what you're saying, right? In terms of, in relation today, especially if you've practiced a lot and you've gotten a lot better. The unfortunate thing is that they actually do still matter, right? So if old fights don't matter anymore, then new fights never matter. There's no point doing them because new fights will become old fights. Do you understand? So there has to be something of value to old fights that make them matter. Otherwise, even new fights don't matter, and then any fights don't matter, and I don't think that's the case. I think that, there is some value and some meaning. Oh, that was a really, really good pressure there on my part to get him with that Fang over Fang. I think it's interesting, right? I think, if someone just holds you to an old fight, right? And maybe just just says, oh, I beat you once and whatever, or I beat you before and nothing you ever do now matters, and they refuse to play you. I mean, that's not good, really, right? But if you did beat someone in the past, or you won in the past, right, then it does actually mean something today still, right? But the person, I think, who wins should acknowledge the fact that, especially if the other person has been practicing, that there is a chance that they could win now. And if they say that there's no chance that they could win now, then I think that person would owe them a fight, right? To back up their word, back up what you say, right? So in terms of that kind of thing, I mean, that's fine. I think that's kind of how it should go, if that makes sense. By the way, this guy had my dash pressure completely downloaded. I'm definitely having a hard time here. I don't even really recognize myself here. But it's funny because back then, I loved using Kiba's tilt. Akamaru is pretty good, actually. This Kiba might actually be better than the shippuden or older Kiba, to be honest. Just because Akamaru is such a casualty. He just gets in the way, because the dog is so big and has a big hitbox, and he lays down for so long, whereas this one gets back up almost immediately and doesn't fall down as much. So the thing with Kiba is when Akamaru falls down to the ground, I don't know when they changed it, but it happens in this game, and I'm pretty sure it happens in some of the past games, probably recent games, where when Akamaru falls down, you cannot actually attack anyone with the circle button or the attack button. it just doesn't hit. So you'll 100% just lose games because of it. So yeah, so old games matter because also nostalgia. It's really cool to go back and to remember good times. Like if you had good, like if we're not looking at it at a competitive aspect and we're looking at it just from like an entertainment or fun aspect, it's really cool like to go back and watch maybe some old games where you had fun with a friend or you had fun just playing someone and you guys are both laughing, both having a good time. Maybe laughing at the silly things that are happening in the game that each of you do. Like you might both be doing silly things and you laugh at that. Or there's, you know, laughing at the game for just not being balanced and having game breaking glitches. Because as most of us know by now, there is no shortage of game breaking glitches in Naruto Storm 4. So I think probably the best, even though it gets pretty much it probably gets the better of most players, like meaning they get upset or they get angry at least some of the time. Um, but after a while, you just come to like understand and accept that that's kind of how the game is. So the best way to kind of deal with that is to just laugh it off and kind of make it like a lighthearted situation, if that makes sense. And that's easier said than done. Good game, dude. So I definitely shouldn't have won that. I cannot believe I won that on the ground. Kiba and Akamaru literally got the damage I needed with like a second left on the clock to win the game. Absolutely insane games here. So that's the other thing is like even if you're not as good, right? They still matter because a lot of times, you have to work to get better. You have to work to improve. So a lot of these games, like the ones you'll see here, are me struggling. And not necessarily because I was a bad player, but I was at a certain level and I'm better now. I'm always picking lower tier characters whenever I can because I like to challenge myself and I like to improve and get better. And that's one of the ways to do so. That was one of the coolest fireball setups. Perfect fireball setup. By the way, if you're playing this part 1 Sasuke, the best way to do it is with the fireball. The most satisfying jutsu for that Sasuke is the fireball, usually with a strike back knockback support. Very nice tilt here with Akamaru. There's such a thing too as small victories. Like even if you don't win the game, a lot of times you could do a cool combo or you could have made a really cool play or made a perfect parry or done something where even if you lose the game, you can look back and say, hey, instead of looking at the loss, right? You can look at it and be like, well, I actually did this thing really well and this thing really well, like that fireball setup and a bunch of other things that I've done. And, you can just turn the negative into a positive. So that's always good. So I think there's always value to be had, even in old fights, right? And old videos and stuff like that I upload. Sometimes, occasionally, from time to time, I will go back and watch some of my older videos when I have time, which is not too often because I'm always making content. I spend like 90% of my time making content. I don't really play the game as much as people think that I do. So that's one of the biggest misconceptions here is that people think that I'm like playing all the time and that's not the case. I often go on large breaks on weeks at a time, sometimes months at a time to do other things, to work on other projects, or even just to do other things. Like in the past, I've gone on Overwatch breaks or Overwatch 2 breaks. Although I would say in the last month or so, I haven't played Overwatch. So I haven't played it very much at all. There we go. Really nice entry there. Nice. So we have a massive health lead here. Okay, guys. Massive health lead. He shouldn't win, right? Wrong. He might actually win. You guys have to see this. It's actually crazy, dude. Also, I mean, this guy says I'm not Gamma. Like, I wonder if this is Gamaholic. Because, like, that was his name, right? Gamaholic. So, and he used to be called Gamma. So, that would be so cool if I was actually fighting Gamaholic. Because, I mean, I used to talk with him and stuff like that. Yeah, he's got crazy supports there with Orochimaru. It's really tough. Oh, Kiba went the other way. Did you see that? So he's totally just closed the gap. I'm in big trouble. I'm poison damage, so he's 100% closed the gap here. That Fuma got the shuriken. I waited. My subs came back just in time. I was about to die, dude. Oh my god, Karen. Oh my god. We won, guys. Thank you so much for watching. More importantly, I hope you had a fantastic day, an amazing day. If not, I hope it gets better for you soon. Peace.